Welcome to the heart of collaboration. We thank you for welcoming us into your listening and viewing audience. We appreciate you, and I'd like to share every now and then that we don't take you for granted. So we want to say how grateful we are for you. We thank you for all your emails and text messages and all of your communications. And because of you, we are doing some things occasionally along the way. And one is that we're introducing brand new pastors in the area. And today's guest is Pastor LaRita Horton of New Greater Love Missionary Baptist Church, and with her is Sister Monica Clark, who was a member of the Pastor Search Committee. Now, they may call that committee differently, but I think we have a pretty good understanding that she was on the team to bring this wonderful woman to Paducah. Welcome, Pastor Horton.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome, and thank you. Thank you for making time. I know you're commuting right now.
Yes.
And so I know that you have to really work your schedule to work extra things in, so I'm really grateful that you were able to do that.
Thank you for having me.
Miss Monica Clark, how are you?
I'm great.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you. I know you're busy too, and you have things going on during the day, so we're grateful that you could be here with your pastor.
The invite.
Yes. And hope to bring you back later on as you're building up ministries within the ministry.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll be glad to come.
So we're looking forward to that, right, ladies and gentlemen? Pastor Horton, tell us a little bit about your background, where you came from. Let's get just a little bit of your history in first.
Okay, not to be so long. I've been, well, of course, I'm from Clarksville, Tennessee. Parents, been in church all my life. My mom said from the time I was in her womb, I've been in church all my life. So that's all I really know. Grew up in Green Hill Baptist Church, and then in the latter years, went to Christ the Healer Church, where I accepted my calling, and then for 14 and a half years was the co-pastor at Christ the Healer Church in Clarksville until recently when I moved here. Well, I haven't moved here yet anyway, to New Greater Love.
Yes, and all the best ways you're here.
And the best way. It's
right.
been a journey, but it's been a good journey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we're grateful to have you here, and I'll let everybody know. I brag about this a little bit, not too bad, but I watched Pastor Horton grow up. She and her sister were little girls, and I watched them grow up, and I watched their parents holding them steadfast in the church, and I thought a lot of your parents, and still do.
Thank you so much.
Think a lot of you and your sister. What is your sister's name?
Bernice. That's my youngest sister. That's the one you know.
Yeah,
Your
Bernice.
other sisters know my older sister, so.
Oh,
Yeah,
did
my
I
older
lose
sibling.
that? I lost that opportunity.
Yeah, well, because they were hanging out with them.
Okay. Well, what's your oldest sister's name?
Margaret.
Margaret.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And-
Now I am familiar with that name.
Yeah.
And your parents' names?
Ernest and Minnie. My dad's deceased now, but my mom is still alive and well.
Yes.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And still keeping up with you.
Oh, yes.
All right.
Yeah, oh, yes.
That's
yeah.
a good thing. Once a parent, always a parent.
Oh, yes.
Especially when you're a good parent like your parents have been.
Yes, she's been good. She called to make sure I was getting here safe today.
Yes.
Have you arrived?
Yeah. Oh, how sweet.
Yes.
So sweet.
Yes, yes.
Well, let's go to this little lady over here. She and I are sitting on the ends because we're sharing freckles today.
Yes.
Yes,
Sister
that's
Monica
cute.
Clark. Tell us how long you've been at New Greater Love Missionary Baptist Church.
I've been at New Greater Love ever since its existence, which we started back, I believe, in 1986. And so ever since then, I did leave to go to Nashville. I lived there for 10 years, but then I came back, and so I've been there ever since.
Awesome. Now, leading up to this role that you played in searching for a new pastor, let's share a little bit about your background, some of the ministries that you have been involved in at New Greater Love.
In New Greater Love, I've been in the choir. I've served on hospitality. I'm a trustee now. So now I'm the church administrator. So I've had several different identities in the church, but I love New Greater Love.
That's great. You
Yes.
love New Greater Love.
I do.
You know that's cute. That's
Yes,
cute, don't you?
It's pretty good.
Yes. So you've served. You've been a good servant, you've been a faithful servant at that church.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you became a part of what committee as it relates to your new pastor?
The search committee. It consisted of 11. We had 7 members, and then we had 4 alternates.
Awesome.
So we all worked together. It took about a year, and so we got everything done.
So it took about a year, which means that you were not rushing the process.
Oh, no.
And so you were listening to who? in the
Listening
course
to
of that
the
year.
Lord.
All right, you were listening
Yes.
to the Lord.
God the Father, yes.
You wanted to get it right the first time.
That's
is that
right. We wanted
All right,
His will done.
Well, I think y'all did really, really well. Of
I
course,
do
I'm
too.
partial.
I do too.
I'm
Of
not
course,
trying
I'm
to play
partial.
favorite. You partial too? Well, tell us a little bit about your side of the process, Pastor Horton, from the beginning up until that time you preached your first sermon, and then we'll go to some other areas.
Okay, it's amazing, the journey, you know, how you always know. I thought I would probably be the pastor with some bishop or something, but then I guess it was long about in July time period, I was walking down the corridor and the Lord said, I'm going to give you double for all the things in your life. And I said, okay. So I meet Dr. Harvey's grandson. And he didn't know me, I didn't know him. And when I was walking down, my pastor says, a young man is they're looking for a pastor at their church. And at the time I didn't see him, saw a group of men sitting to the side. And when I come back, he said, the Lord showed me you coming down here. And so I said, okay. And he said, if you like my church, if you think you would like to come and be a part of it, or you'd like to put in your resume, come to the Legacy program. So I came that Sunday, and it was Dr. Harvey's 50th anniversary for his legacy. And I walk in the church, and I could hear great possibilities. Great possibilities. This the whole time the service is going on. I could hardly hear what they were saying. I'm like, great possibilities.
Yes.
So I went home and put in my resume and prayed and said, okay, God, if it's your will, I want whatever you want for me. Don't want to be any place you don't want me to be. If it's your will, then it's on you. And so did all of my question, and it's amazing. Out of all the 7 on the telephone, Monica is the only one that did ask all the questions.
Well, I'm smiling, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and then, but it's been a wonderful thing because it's been such a good, since she's a church administrator, she's my right hand, my left hand.
Yes.
So it just worked out that way. But she asked all the questions, so I always remembered who she was. But it was a process, fast and prayed, my church fast and prayed. Only told a few people, you know how that is. Only told those who I could trust to fast and pray.
Absolutely.
And so, and then just believe God. And then I think I was at a Bible study one night. And God said, do you want it? And I said, yes. He said, well, all you had to do was ask.
Oh, my goodness.
So at that point I said, yes, I want this. and from there, and then I go to my first Sunday to preach. And I told them, I think one of my girlfriends used the word giddy. I mean, I was giddy from the time I could just feel the love from the first meeting that they had. The search committee had me to come in one of the classrooms. We met and they asked questions and open, and they asked all the questions, But main thing I could tell they was being spiritual. They were being led by God.
Yes.
It wasn't just, but we hit it. We just had a connection right off. So, yeah. And then the first Sunday I preached, I'm like, oh my God. Yeah.
Keep that first sermon title in Scripture, if you can recall it, in mind. And I'm going to come back to you in just a minute or two.
Okay.
Sister Monica, what were some of the questions that you asked? And after you share that, what were some of the characteristics that you and the team were looking for?
Okay. We started back in January 2012, and we met each month. And we had several discussions on what we were looking for in our pastor to be. So we didn't want to discriminate against gender, race, or anything, age. And so we kind of had it open. And everybody was amazingly on one accord. It was just miraculous to me in that sense that everybody, were on the same page. We prayed, we asked God, and we believed God that he was going to give us an answer. So that night when we did our telephone interview, I was responsible for asking questions because I don't want to get in trouble with the search committee. It was 2 of us that were supposed to ask questions, and it was myself and another member. And so, from the very beginning, Pastor Horton said, can we pray? She was the only candidate on the telephone interviews that asked that question first. So we had a very powerful prayer. Our preacher can pray, our pastor, can pray. So we were so excited just in that sense. On the first interview, And I believe when you ask God for something, He'll reveal it to you. And in my spirit, you know, to me, it was already done.
Yes.
So
What were some of the characteristics you were looking for when your team were meeting monthly? What did you decide, past the fact that you didn't want to discriminate? What were some of the characteristics that you definitely knew you needed in your new pastor?
okay, we needed someone with great administrative skills. And we looked at the spiritual aspect and also the teachable aspect of it. And then we also needed someone who was educated, because we were so thirsty for learning more about the Lord. So that's really what we were looking for: administrative skills, education, and then the spiritual aspect of it.
And we know the spiritual aspect comes first. But, you know, Pastor, we know that we serve a God who is spiritual and He's intelligent.
Yes.
And so He expects us to have a balance. And it sounds to me that your search committee made up your mind at the very beginning that you were going to have a good balance.
Oh, yes.
Based on the way God structured things, His expectations according to His word, and you did an outstanding job. Sister Monica, what were some of the questions you asked Pastor Horton?
First of all, I think we asked questions regarding what type of vision she had for New Greater Love. And I love the fact that she said Team Greater. You know, she had all kind of outreach, you know, ministry ideas for us, and that she just connected with us, that she connected the team, our name, Greater, in her vision. So it seemed like she had a great vision for us, and that's what we're working on, and so that. And we asked questions about what she would do with the youth, you know, the youth ministries, also about the tithes and offerings and ways to,
Outstanding.
you know,
Outstanding.
grow the church.
Excellent. And so the things that you asked her about were part of the biblical structure for the local church.
Yes.
And she had the right answers, and she had the right answers because
yes.
she's serving the right God, and she was listening to the right God, weren't you, Pastor?
Yes, yes.
Pastor, when you preached your first sermon at New Greater Love, where Team Greater?
Team
Where
Greater.
Team Greater
I tell them, go
is
Team
the church
Greater.
family.
That's right, that's right.
Well, what was the title of that sermon and the scripture, the
It was from
foundational?
1 Samuel, I think of like the 16th chapter, and I don't want to, but anyway, the title was How to Deal with Your Giant.
Oh my goodness.
The many giants David went up against, but eventually against Goliath.
What a way to begin.
Yeah, we started out pretty good.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And that whole year searching for you. That was a
telling you.
giant in itself, wasn't it, Sister
yes.
Monica?
It was. It
And
was.
and then overcoming your giant was
They've overcome a lot of giants.
Yes.
Of course, everybody knows Dr. Harvey has just been a wonderful pastor and leader, but at this age, you know, he's still a very great presence in the church. But to take it into where it needs to go, to the next phase.
Yes.
Thank God for the vision. And I was telling Monica, asked me one of the questions. She said, "You're so great." I never forget this. "You're so great. How's your pastor going to release you?" Because I did everything at my church. My pastor and his wife, basically, they just preach. My pastor, great administrator. But as far as all the functions in the church, I oversaw everything at the church. So, you know, and so Monica said, "How is he going to release you?" I said, "He's already ready. God is already in the midst of his tears and crying. He was still writing letters and, you know, for resumes and all that stuff." But that was one thing I saw that they wanted. You know, immediately their spirit connected when I said Team Greater. Because I said I didn't want it to be about a personality. I wanted to always be a team. I think great families make great churches.
Yes.
And so whether you're single family or you mother and father, it's still a family. So I wanted to make sure that it's always a team. And in a team, we all win, so.
Well, now your pastor in Clarksville, and I guess he'll always be
He'll
your
always be my pastor.
What is his name?
Bishop Calvin Lockett
Yes.
and Pastor Lenita Lockett.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I think I'm acquainted with him. I can't place his face right now, but I often see his name come up in some of the
I'm sure you do.
Facebook posts
I'm
from
sure you do.
Elder Beverly Kirby,
Yes.
my sister in the ministry.
That's her pastor now.
Yes.
Too. Yeah, so,
Yes, and
he's
she
always
just-
telling Beverly something.
Yes,
Yes.
and she loves her pastor, and she
Yes,
loves
yeah.
you, and she's just proud.
he's a great when it comes to training leaders. He has an anointing to train leaders.
And obviously, that makes sense, because he was not trying to be an obstacle to your growth and your movement, your forward movement.
Yes.
Even if it meant coming outside of the city where he is your overseer, so to speak, your pastor. And it's good to know that he is so strong in his relationship with God and all the things that he was called to do. He accepted what he was called to do, which was also to grow up leaders.
Right.
I am so grateful to him for that.
Yeah, because it's a whole lot, because he just lost my son, who was a minister of music at the time, 13 months prior to that. So it's almost to a year to date when my son had got the church in Jackson, and then I come here to Paducah.
Wow.
It's amazing. Yeah, so he had to lose both of us.
But isn't that evidence of his presence and his relationship with God?
Yes.
Certainly it is, because isn't it one of the responsibilities of a pastor to grow up pastors?
Yes, to train.
To train
and
them.
send them out.
Send them out.
Yeah, it's not everybody, everybody doesn't have a pulpit ministry. For whatever ministry you have, it's the job of the pastor to send them out.
Yes.
Yeah, so prayerfully I'm going to be a good leader as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've had enough training.
You have. You've had some good training.
Yes, I have.
And you've been in an environment that garners growth.
Yes.
And apparently he was not intimidated.
Oh, no.
Because he allowed you to use your gifts and talents.
Yes, at all times.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
What a sense of freedom you must have experienced.
Yes, I mean, and you could, like I said, use your gift. Whatever your gift was healing, you have all the opportunity to go to the hospitals and report back, pray, do whatever you need to do, whatever your gift was. Admin, you had that, whatever your gift was, he prays and asks God, show me, what this a person, what do I need to train them to be? What is it that I need to lead them to do? So he knew I had a pastoral calling. I've always known from a little girl. I didn't exactly have a name to it, but I knew I always could lead. And then when I met him, he said, have you thought about your call for pastoring? I had never said it out loud to anybody. Because, 20 years ago, when you said that, are you crazy? But he told me, he said, I don't care what anybody say, one day you're going to pastor.
Wow.
And he said, get ready for it. And so when, now 20 years seems so long ago, and it really doesn't seem long ago, it seemed like yesterday. But when I was going through to get to this point, it seemed like a long time, but now it's here.
Oh, and the journey was beautiful for you because of him.
Yes, it was.
Can you imagine, Pastor, Sister Monica, can you imagine how many women, men in many senses, but women have lived and died and were afraid to express their calling because they knew what the outcome was going to be for them? Can you imagine the torment?
I listen to the torment now in places that they can't. You can only be in the kitchen. You can only sing in the choir. You can be even the trustee or the finance director. But you can't stand before the people and say, this is what God is saying.
Imagine.
And so I have friends who are still in so much bondage over it. But I thank God that he led my steps that I could go and be free. And somebody would say, it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
And imagine the freedom that you're going to provide for women, girls and boys, and women
I won't forget.
and men. You won't forget.
I won't forget, male or female, the opportunities were granted to me, to exercise my gift. So.
And that's going to draw men and women and young adults to you because they're hungry to be at the feet, so to speak, under the covering of someone who will allow them to grow in the Lord and to allow them to be used by God. And this is, and I, for a lack of a better term, this is complementary to a pastor, to a spiritual leader, when they grow up so that men and women can go out.
It's wonderful to be able to watch.
Yes.
It's like any parent. It's wonderful to be able to watch as the men and women of God in your church, as parishioners grow. I get to watch them grow.
Yes.
It was one of the blessings, to watch, because everybody who comes to church doesn't know church.
Right.
And at Fort Campbell, we had so many people who had never been to church, didn't even have a clue where a pulpit was. And then I got the opportunity to watch them grow spiritually as well as naturally. So it's a good thing. Yeah.
Disciples making disciples.
Yes. Yeah.
And then those disciples can make disciples.
See, I tell them sheep beget sheep. Pastors don't. Sheep do. Sheep go after other sheep.
Yes.
Yeah, the sheep don't. That's the only reason they come around, for other sheep, not me.
Oh.
Yeah, because they see me with the big stick. It's no. But other sheep get other sheep. So yeah, so that's a
so
wonderful
beautiful.
thing. Yeah, it's a wonderful thing, and I'm excited about it.
I'm excited about it for you.
Yeah,
I'm excited about it for the kingdom.
Yes.
And especially in our community.
Yes.
We need you, Pastor Horton.
I need to be here.
Yes.
I'm excited about it.
Yes, and I know you haven't had time to get to know very many people, and I hope this helps to springboard that. And I know there'll be other opportunities for you. For example, the Community Clergy Fellowship Spring Women's Revival that you'll be participating in.
Yes, scheduled for that night as well.
Yes.
I forgot, it's on a Wednesday night though.
Yes, it's May the 6th, 7th, and 8th.
I'm on the 8th.
Yes.
Thank you, Monica.
Yes.
Yeah, she keeps it up for me on the 8th, and I'm excited about it. Yes.
Dr. Duncan and I have been promoting that on a show called First Friday.
Yes.
That's out of Bristol Broadcasting, where Patrick White and J.W. Cleary are the co-host.
Okay.
And then a few days after that, we did a half-hour show on my radio show, so we've been promoting it, and we've been calling folk by name.
That's right.
And so we'll be doing some more in the days ahead. But as our time slowly winds down for this segment of the Heart of Collaboration, I do want to say this also to parents, that Pastor Horton and Sister Monica are examples of how parents have accepted responsibility for raising their children the right way. And bumps and what have you along the way are designed to grow us up even more, to help us to make choices and decisions better.
Yes.
But primarily, when you raise your children in the Lord, in the church, in the Bible, God's way, you're going to produce great men and women.
Yes.
And it's the responsibility of great men and women to grow up great men and women.
Yes.
And I know that Pastor Lockett is not taking full credit for it because he's a man of God.
No.
But God used him as a vehicle to do it for you.
Well, I tell
your
anybody,
son.
Dr. Bell, my first mentor was my father. That's why I tell parents, you should always be conscious about asking God, what is your child supposed to be in life? And then wherever they're supposed to be, when they say train up a child, then whatever training they need, if it's baton twirling, make sure they do that. My father took me to all leadership meetings as a kid. I got to say
you were so old when you were about that time.
Yeah, I mean, I could go and my father said, just sit here and be quiet. And the men of the church never said anything.
Wow.
And my dad said, one day this will pay off, pay attention. And so even to that, you know, whatever your child is in, I tell whatever parent, whatever your child wants to do in life, make sure they get the correct training and everything they know, and with the Bible.
Yes.
Yeah, because everybody's not going to be great things in the church.
Yes.
But whatever they're going to do, make sure you train them up for it.
And that has to be the root, because the world is not a good place.
No.
And the world doesn't care about us and our children.
No.
And so parents have to make sure.
It's our job.
And when you're fortunate to get under a pastor who will be that spiritual
For those
parent.
who don't even have
Oh
it.
my goodness.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, because you have to, they're all my children. I tell them all the time, I think Shirley Caesar said it well years ago, we have to learn how to cook for the whole house.
Oh my goodness.
Some are on baby food, some are on solid food,
Yeah.
some are
Right.
still sipping milk, whichever, that's what I need to be.
Well, I'm excited
That's
about
awesome.
what's going to be taking place, what has and what's going to be taking place
excited
at
about it.
New Greater Love Missionary Baptist Church.
Yes.
Team Greater.
Team Greater.
Under the pastoral leadership of Reverend Pastor LaRita Horton.
Thank you so
and
much.
great people who are holding up your arms so you can
Yes.
do what God has called
have
you to
a
do.
great support
like this
system.
beautiful young lady right
Yes,
here,
ma'am.
Monica Clark.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
take good care of her, okay?
Trying.
All right. Don't let me have to come over there.
All right.
Okay. What would you like to say as we close? We've got about 4 more minutes.
Oh, just so thankful to the community for those who have reached out and embraced, got a tour, just the whole works. Everybody's been so wonderful, so nice. And I wanted the community to know that I'm not here to swap any members.
Oh, come on now.
I am just here after the unchurched and the unsaved.
Unchurched and unsaved.
Those who have not even thought about going to church,
Yeah.
Gave it up a long time ago. We're going after those type people
Yes.
because it's enough for everybody.
Yes.
Because only, I think a third of Paducah is saved.
Wow.
So it's plenty for everybody.
It's plenty for everybody.
When you go on Sundays while we're at church, the malls are full with people are still not in church. So we have plenty. So and with that, like to team up with them.
All right.
We're all on the same team. A win is a win.
A win is a win.
Red still works. We all wear red.
You're doing it for the kingdom?
I'm doing it for the kingdom.
do
So
it
it's
for
not
the
a
kingdom.
it really is not about me.
Yes.
God, I'm just the person God is using at this headquarters at New Greater Love to bring them in. So I'm excited about it.
Oh, I'm excited for you. Glad you're here.
Yes.
And Sister Monica, what would you like to say before we sign off?
Oh, I just like to say thank you for this opportunity.
You're welcome.
I'd like to thank the community and to my church. Like she said, Team Greater. We have an awesome pastor. She's so humble. She's an anointed, powerful woman of God, and we just love her and appreciate her. So just thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we'll see you around, and
Yes,
sometimes
ma'am.
when my pastor let me slip over there, my pastor as of March the 17th became my son-in-law.
I understand.
I'm telling you, I never would have thought it.
I understand. You have to do home
now
first.
he's my pastor, and when
that's sweet.
Tiffany was in my womb, nobody could have convinced me that
Who
she would
knew?
one day be my first lady. And I am loving it. It is well with
Yes.
my soul.
God is fair.
So when he lets me slip away to come over there and visit, I'm coming to visit.
I understand.
And I'm not playing when I come in there
That's
because
right.
I'm a praiser and a worshiper.
That's right. Well,
Make
you
some room
have
for
some
me.
company.
Okay.
Yeah. We're trying to make sure we keep that side of the street. Well, yeah. So we're good. Yeah. Please come in and praise Him.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I know that you enjoyed this segment of the Heart of Collaboration, and thank you for welcoming us. And you can go to YouTube, you can go to www.paducah2.org and stay up to breast with not only the Heart of Collaboration, but other hosts and producers of other shows right here at WKCTC. We love you. See you later.